Goal bonuses in football. Today on the Football Fun Factory podcast, we are discussing goal bonuses within youth football. Luke, when you played adult football, were you ever on a goal bonus?
I never was, actually. I know some of my teammates strikers were. When I was a little boy, I remember playing my first season in football and my granddad said he'd give me 50p a goal. So
that's a lot of money back then.
It was a huge amount of money, but I'll go into more detail about that later in the podcast.
Nice.
That was my only goal bonus.
James, were you on a goal bonus as an
It would
adult?
have been absolutely pointless.
As an adult and a child?
Yeah, both.
Cool, well, that's that then. Right, we're going to put this subject on trial and we need to discuss whether children's football should have goal bonuses or not. Need this, don't I? Is it in shot? Here we go. So here we are in Judge Johnny's court and we are putting this subject on trial. James, can you please start by reading your opening statement?
Absolutely. Mine says, goal bonuses are ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. They kill children's decision making, they put pressure on children and should be stopped immediately.
Oh, interesting. Luke, can you please read your opening statement?
Okay, it's a very contrasting view, would you believe? Goal bonuses are class. It helps incentivise children on a match day to play well and gives them the chance to experience what it's like to be a mini pro.
Oh, interesting. Obviously, that's the first time you've seen those statements, the first time you're reading them, but now you need to fight that corner, whether you believe it or not. Luke, can you please put James on the stand? James, before Luke gives you some questioning, can you just elaborate on your statement, please?
Absolutely. So goal bonuses are ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Nice.
There's no need for them. So there's no purpose really for a goal bonus. And I can only really see drawbacks in this scenario. So what tends to happen, I've seen this play out in children's football a number of times, is that children make the wrong decisions as a result of the fact they're going to get their 50p, £5, probably tenner nowadays, from their granddad, mum, dad, whoever that's watching on the sidelines. I've seen children who are in a position where they should square it for a tap-in for somebody else and try and take the shot on themselves, miss and make the wrong decisions, all because of the goal bonus. And for me, that is the number one reason why they are ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Double ridiculous.
Interesting take. Like for me, I think you've gone a bit OTT with it. I think in terms of it's an opportunity for the parents, the grandparents more than anything. When I go back to my sort of early days playing football, my granddad lived a long way away up near Manchester, could never really watch me play because I was playing down here, and that was his sort of way of being involved in my football, saying he'd give me 50p for every goal that I scored, and I think it allows people to get involved with their child, their grandchild, whoever it may be, in their football career. And it's just a bit of fun, surely.
So in that scenario, I think that as good as Grandad's intentions were, I think that what would have been better from him would have been to say, look, how did the game go? And you talk him through it and say, yeah, I scored. Oh, that's brilliant. You should be really proud of yourself, and reward you with words rather than with money, because I think the messaging behind that for children is incredibly powerful when they're told they should be incredibly proud of themselves, told that they have done really well, told that we're really proud of you. I think that's a much better reward for a child than 50p.
Yeah, but of course he'd done that, and I'd always be buzzing to tell him how many goals I'd scored, and he'd tell me how proud he was that I'd scored all them goals and everything, but it was his way of being involved, like physically being involved with not being able to get to the game and to watch the game.
Do you feel there's any other ways that it could have been involved other than just throwing money at you?
No, not in my mind. To be fair, that season I scored 104 goals and I never even got the money, so that was disappointing. But I think that drove me on to get them 104 goals.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
It's 52 quid.
Yeah, exactly.
I was trying to work it out. I was trying to stall so I could work it out. 52 quid back then was a lot of money, Luke.
That was a huge amount. You could get a house for that.
So he owes you a house now.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, as much as I'd love to continue talking about house prices back in 1908, Luke, can you please open read your opening statement, please?
I'm not 116, John.
Oh, really?
Goal bonuses are class. It helps incentivise children on a match day to play well and gives them the chance to experience what it's like to be a mini pro. Like I say, I think parents, grandparents, whoever it may be, giving their children goal bonuses, I think everyone should be doing it. It's an opportunity for the little one to earn a little bit of extra pocket money by doing something they love doing, which is scoring goals. And they want to go out there, score as many goals as they can, earn as much money as they can at the youngest possible ages. And I just don't see how anything about the goal bonus could be wrong or anyone could argue against it being right.
Cool, well, I'll do that.
Go on, yeah.
So, just to pick up on the line that you said that that everyone should have a goal bonus, that should be the case for every single child. Just to highlight a few situations and scenarios where maybe that's not appropriate. So one, obviously, I highlighted already in my argument that children make the wrong decisions when they're playing football because they shoot because they want the quid or whatever they're going to get as a goal bonus. What about the child that never scores a goal if they have a goal bonus and then never get any money?
I think that incentivises them to improve and go out and score a goal. Because if you don't score, James, you don't get paid.
Do you not feel that if there was so let's paint a picture. There's an 8-year-old boy that plays football. He's in his team. He's one of the weaker players. He plays in defence. Your argument is that every child should have a goal bonus and that should be in place for every single child that plays football. How does that child feel if he then goes through the entire season, doesn't score a goal, all of his teammates are getting weighed in, they're all turning up, brand new cars.
This is getting ridiculous.
Stickers galore.
Please bring it back.
There, and he hasn't even got a Panini album.
Very good. Am I answering it? Did you just stop the call?
No.
I don't think there is an answer, John.
You brought it back. The car thing was ridiculous. The Panini stickers is a very valid argument. Please defend it.
Boy's got no swaps.
But I think that's like you'd say about playing at the back at 8 years old. He shouldn't just be playing at the back. He should be moving around positions so he'll get his opportunity.
But that does happen. Happens up and down the country every weekend. Children playing the same
positions.
That's
what I mean. What we're trying to do on this podcast is change the game, and I think changing the game in a positive way is children all play in different positions and they all get paid if they score a goal.
Order. I actually think you put James on the stand quite well. You asked him some pretty tough questions.
Yeah.
You probably had him on the ropes at one point. But, however...
Who's the judge? James speaks for
James is the judge.
Yeah.
However, when you were put on stand, you couldn't get a sentence out without laughing.
Crumbled.
Apple crumbled. Thank you, Judge James.
Let me take over. James wins again.
It's my court, Luke Chadwick. As you know, for all our avid listeners that watch every single week, at the end of our courtroom, I decide who a winner is, and you can probably guess where I'm leaning today, and they get a prize. Today's prize is a tape measure.
Oh, fantastic.
What is one of them?
We love DIY at the Football Fun Factory. We're currently looking to put a new couple of photos on the wall.
Yeah.
So I've got this today so we can do that.
Tape measure?
Yeah.
But the new photos to go on the wall.
Well, you obviously don't know how to put a photo up, do you, Luke?
Let's get them in the middle.
It's lucky because you don't need it.
I don't want it.
I'll show you how to use it.
And today's winner
Thanks very much.
of Johnny's Court is James Cutting, who I think probably came out on top again. Anyway, I've had enough of this wig. I'm going to jump out of this and then we're going to see what everyone really thinks. So that brings to the end of the courtroom. James, what do you really think, mate?
A little bit torn with this one because I think that you've got some really good childhood memories of having a goal bonus. And it is quite cool and it is a chance to be a mini professional. And I do think that children love to live out their hopes and dreams for the future, and they see the players that they love watching on TV, they want to mimic them and be like them, and they have goal bonuses, so it's quite cool. You know, no different to wearing the same boots as Ronaldo, that you want to have a goal bonus like Ronaldo. I do think that my point around children making then the wrong decisions based on the fact they've got a goal bonus is a factor. So I'm a little bit torn. I'm not kind of firmly in one court really. How about you?
Yeah, I think it's a context of it. I think if it's a bit of fun in the family, it's a few pound at the end of the season for the child if they score some goals. I think it's when it's taken really seriously and it's from the adult's point of view where it's a case of, like, I'm going to give you all this money, you score a load of goals for them to then be the top goal scorer, progress and potentially become a professional footballer, because it doesn't really work like that. So I think it's how that it's put in place. I really don't think there's any harm in it being a bit of a family joke, a bit of family fun, particularly for grandparents and whatnot that can't always get to the games and sort of feel like they've got an involvement, and for the child to feel like their grandparents have got an involvement as well. So I think there's no right or wrong answer to it. I don't think it's a problem if it's in the correct context.
I hate them.
Ooh.
Feel quite strongly about it. I think and feel that I get it completely from your side of view with regards to it can be a bit of fun. The child does quite enjoy it. Ollie from behind the camera said he used to buzz off having a goal bonus when he was younger, so the children will buzz off it. However, I think when I have a child and if they take part in sport, I will not give them a goal bonus.
That's just because you're so tight, though.
No, that's partly the reason. But so my thought process comes from a number of things. One, I agree with what you said earlier on. I think it impacts decision making and makes children make the wrong decisions. I think that it's unfair on other children within the team and also creates a divide potentially. So, for example, I've overheard coaches and parents talking about goal bonuses they give their son or daughter. Someone might give their son or daughter £5 a goal, someone else gets £1 a goal. I think that then creates a social divide within the group because that family can maybe afford to pay more than the other one. And I think that then probably creates an unnecessary divide amongst the children because they talk and they tell each other. Go on, quiz me on it, Luke.
No, I was going to say, like, obviously when I was playing as a kid, I didn't tell anyone. It was just something that was part of our family that my granddad would give me 50p a goal. When you mentioned there, when you have kids and they start playing sport, football, you wouldn't offer them a goal bonus. What if you're sort of one of their grandparents said, I want to do this, but would you say, no, I'm sorry, I don't want you to do that?
So, my third point, to sort of reiterate and back that up, I get the whole grandparent thing, and I think it's great for them to try and be involved and feel part of it. However, there was a study from Carol Dweck, where they did this study on 2 groups of children and they gave them this puzzle to complete. After the puzzle, they gave one group of children intelligence praise. So, you're so smart, you're so clever, well done for being so great at that. And another group, effort praise, well done for working really hard, you've tried your best. And they then did, later that day, another set of puzzles. The group of children that got the effort praise all outperformed those that got the intelligence praise. So I think you are praising the wrong thing, and that's why I would never do it with my child in a match scenario, because what you're doing is you're praising them and rewarding them for their talent levels, the amount of goals they score, as opposed to the effort they put in the game. So if my dad said that my imaginary son or daughter, they want to give them a goal bonus, I'd probably say to them, I don't want you to do that. Instead, can you look at giving them an effort bonus? And it's hard to judge that, so probably not, and I'd probably draw a line under it, but that's what I would like my son or daughter to be rewarded for, is their effort and hard work as opposed to their talent or intelligence.
So this gives us an opportunity, I think, to talk about the Football Fun Factory Blue Card and why we do what we do. So for those that don't know, we have a blue card within our sessions. Yellow and red cards are given out by referees. Football Fun Factory, we like to do everything positively, and we have a blue card that we give out, and we award the blue card for sportsmanship, fair play, teamwork, encouragement, all the things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
All that positive praise around effort and attitude. And I think that's such a brilliant thing. And that's how I think as well in terms of then goal bonuses, because what you're doing is you're saying you scored, the results of what you did were really good, therefore you get rewarded. And I think there's a danger of the messaging in that. And I see the scenario between positive praise or a treat for the child. I think that's also different. I was like saying, like, taking a child out for a meal or taking them to McDonald's or something after the game, I think is a better way of doing it than giving them the money they would have spent on the McDonald's.
It's hard, obviously, because I don't have children, but I think for me, that is what I would probably lean towards, that when I do, and if they do play in team sport, I would, the same as the way I coach children, from a coach's standpoint, I would give them praise for their effort rather than the result within the game.
Yeah, it's what you obviously talk about, the book by, Grit, is it called, the extrinsic motivation, and sort of how that sort of is so important to be built on as young people. And I think it's sort of getting that blend right. Like, I'll keep going back to, it can be just a little bit of fun. Like, if you're talking about 20p for a goal, I don't think that's something that the child then goes onto the pitch thinking about. Their motivation is to work hard. Well, if they've been coached well, if their parents are talking to them correctly on the way to the games about football, then their motivation is to work hard, to win the game, to have fun with their friends. And then I don't think that 20, 30p, that is a lot of fun and sort of is part of the family. I think you shouldn't take that away if that's some. But then if it's, go on, son, I'll give you 10 if you score today. Then I think then it's completely and utterly wrong.
Yep. I mean, who's had that 30p as a goal bonus? Such a random amount, Luke.
That's not exactly what I give my kid.
One's a goalie, that's right.
I've never had to give him 30. No, scored last season. Get my wallet out.
30p.
Game of pool.
I can't get a game of pool for 30p anymore.
Going to Barrington Social Club.
I think I get it from if it's jovial, if it's a bit of fun, and that's what's difficult, because I've never been in that scenario. And obviously you've had children, they've grown up, and you might have done that with your kids, and like you said, and you've experienced that as a young player as well, and it did create a bond and a conversation starter for you and your granddad after the game, where you could then talk about that.
I think the world's changed, and I think the world that you grew up and played football in and the world that children grow up and play football in now has changed, and I think that's the number one reason why I think goal bonuses shouldn't be in place, because where you say it was a bit of fun, it was 50p, it was like almost like it was about the goal rather than the money. I think the world's a different place nowadays, and I think that kids will sit in the dressing room and go, "What's your goal bonus? I get 2
That's what
quid.
I mean, yeah.
I get a tenner.
Yeah.
Oh, he gets a tenner."
Then they go home and
goes to his mum.
Yeah, then you go home, you renegotiate the contract.
But it is.
I think that is a really good point. I mean, I never did that with my children. No. I never offered them money to score goals. Because I am incredibly tired. I didn't want to give them a load of money, but it was never about that for them. It wasn't about that for me growing up. It was just something that my granddad said to me once, and it's something that is a really sort of precious memory to me, remembering those times when doing that. But it is like an interesting point that you make there, that it is a different world that we live in now in terms of that.
What can coaches, what can parents, what can grandparents do instead? So I obviously mentioned around, ideally for me, what I try and do when I coach is reward and praise effort as opposed to the talent levels or the end product. It's obviously quite hard to incentivise a child through financial reward for giving the most effort, because it's hard to judge, because the child can say, I tried really hard, and
it's too structured for me, because if it's every time you score a goal you get a reward, there's too much structure in that. I think if you were I was parenting a child that was attending part of a team, does really well, and it could be a number of things. Could be a goal that they score, could be a really selfless moment, and do you know what, that little lad's never scored a goal before, and you squared it to him, and I know why you did that. You could have scored yourself. The massive treat. You take him to Legoland for that. I think it's recognising those things, and I think it's just spotting moments. Whereas if you just go every time there's a goal, there's a reward, it's just quite a transactional kind of thing, and probably the wrong way of looking at it.
I think it's just like the reason, like when kids start playing football, and the reason behind that, obviously parents, there's nothing better as a parent as seeing your child do something that they love doing, enjoying it. And I think having that relationship from the start, that this isn't about anything incentivised really. This is about you going to have fun, enjoying yourself, and that's the reward. There's no other reward to it. There's not a goal bonus or whatever it may be, a trip to Legoland. If you square it across, we go to Disneyland.
If you rainbow flick it, bang it in the top corner.
Oh, you must have had a view of it.
Okay, last question then before we go to Chaddy's quickfire questions. How do you, as a parent, you two guys are parents, you may have come across this, if the children are in the changing rooms and are on the pitch and they are talking to their mates and one gets a goal bonus, one doesn't, and then your son or daughter comes up to you and goes, well, little James, he gets trip to Legoland every time he squares it, I don't get anything, what's going on? How do you deal with that conversation?
I think it's
just parenting advice.
Yeah, I think it's that's. I think there's two things there. For me, there's a bit of education around money. Mm-hmm. You just go, oh, you know, whatever the situation, you just go, that's what we can afford. That's what we want to give you for yours. Doesn't matter about what anyone else is doing. But also, like, well, there's more to football than just scoring goals. There's being part of a team. There's celebrating your teammates. I might throughout the season, I might give you £2 for every goal because that's what we do. But I might give you £5 if you high five your teammate when they score. Yeah. Or 3 cheers for the opposition at the end of the game and all those kind of things. I think there's and teach children that there's more to sports participation than just the results that you get and player of the match. Nice. Anything to add, Luke?
My children know not to ask me for money. I think, like for me, the conversation is like you're not playing football to get money as such as a child. Like, the reason you play is because of all them hours that we played in the garden when you was a little tiny one, and all you wanted to do was play in a match and play for a team. Now you're doing that, and it's not about anything else apart from you enjoying yourself, doing what you've always wanted to do and what you love doing. Nice, cool, interesting conversation. Really interesting. Cheers, guys. Thanks very much. Now we're going to head over to everybody's favourite part of the podcast, Luke Chadwick's quickfire questions. So you said that you didn't have a goal bonus as a pro. Were there any bonuses that you had other than goal bonuses? No, in my whole career I'd never had any sort of individual bonuses. There was times I was at clubs where once I'd made a certain amount of appearances and my money would go up. A lot of strikers did have a goal bonus in their contract, but it was something that I ever got written into one of my contracts. Probably wouldn't have made a huge amount of difference to what I was getting paid anyway, because I didn't score that many goals. But no, nothing other than a weekly wage. What about like appearances? So if you were on the bench or you came on, did that affect like the pay that you got as a player? Yeah, I think more or less everyone would have that. You'd get appearance money. It'd be slightly different. If you was on the bench, didn't come on, you'd still get a little bit. If you was on the bench and came on, you'd get half the money. And if you started the game, then you'd get your full appearance money. Obviously that was different for different clubs throughout the leagues that I played for. Some was very lucrative, some was not much at all, but there was always like an appearance bonus that you'd get, a win bonus if you finished at a certain place in the league, a bonus at the end of the season. So that was all, but nothing sort of individualised in terms of an assist, a goal or anything like that. Interesting. Chaddy, you said earlier on, obviously when you were younger, you'd never talk about your 50p sort of contract that you signed with your granddad. What about as a player? Did you ever used to discuss your contract with other players and use that as leverage to then get more? Not really. I weren't really like that. I know a lot of players did used to talk about what they were earning quite a lot. I'd never sort of divulge what I was on. I thought it was something quite personal, really, in terms of at that, particularly when you're at the time. If I'd left the club and then speaking to them after that, I'd be more than happy to tell them, but I think it's something that's probably better kept to yourself when you're in the dressing room, because like you said, in the dressing room of a kid's room, if someone gets £10 for scoring a goal and another gets £1, it can create some divide somewhere. So I thought it was always best to keep it to yourself. Nice, cool. Well, thank you very much, guys, for a brilliant pod. I'll see you next week.